Next week, we start reports from big companies, beginning with the S&P. On the weekly chart, the S&P rose 0.74%. We're in an upward channel until proven otherwise. We have a new all-time high at 610.78. Year to date, the S&P is up 3.15%. It's been just over 3 weeks since 2025 started, and we're up over 3%. In the S&P, continuing the upward trend, we're heading to 628 and then 657. It's been just over 3 weeks of trading since the start of 2025, and we're already up over 3% in the S&P. Continuing with the upward trend, and we're on our way to 628 and then 657. And 628 and 657 and 657 and 627 and 627 and 627 and 628. We have gaps at 602.86, 594.76, and 584.87. Bullish in all time frames except 65-minute. The FTI system gives data for any time frame, learning to trade swings on 65-minute, 4 hours, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, bullish in all time frames. Regarding the S&P, a system I developed that provides all we need. With a button press, we trade swings on 65-minute, 4-hour, daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly levels. Currently, on Friday, the S&P is at the midpoint of an upward channel. This channel has rising lows and highs with a midpoint line supporting them. As long as the S&P sticks to the upward trend line daily and weekly, the price is rising. Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, we can review progress semi-annually and annually, and we are bullish in all time frames. It's Friday, and on Thursday and Friday, the S&P is at the channel midpoint. The channel has rising lows and highs with a supportive midpoint line. As long as the S&P daily and weekly follows the upward trend line, preferably above, the price trends upward. At the midpoint line of this upward channel, we have an upward channel of rising lows and rising highs. This midpoint line also acts as a support for the rising lows and now the rising highs. This means that as long as the S&P, both on the daily level and the weekly level, is sticking to an upward trend line, whether it's below it, of course the preference is above it, but it doesn't matter. The price is sticking to the trend line on its way up. The price is on its way up. The RSP finished the week up by 1.19%. Now, on the weekly level, 179.90 is the support. 183 above it, 187. On the daily level, notice there's not too much going on. Not too much price movement on the daily level. Monday, of course, was a trading holiday. We had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 4 trading days. We're pretty much stuck in the RSP between 1877 and 1883, 180.77 to 183. Breakout, continuing upward, and we're on our way to 186. The QQQ finished the week up by 1.5%. We ended Friday with a decrease of 0.57. Please note, Wednesday 5 to 6, there is not much price movement here on QQQ. Last week, QQQ trading was tough with sideways movement. Long-term trends show rising lows and highs, but a short-term downward channel was broken. You're not alone. The QQ has been moving sideways for 3 out of 4 trading days. Now, if we take trend lines, notice that we have rising lows and rising highs in the long term. Here, we had a downward channel. In the short term, we broke out of it, and now we've re-entered the upward channel. Trend lines are components of channels, and channels are part of the broadening formation. Let's see. The big companies start reporting this coming Tuesday. So this also falls into the first week of February. We're going to have 2 crazy weeks in the market. So if you don't want to trade alone and you don't want to go through this frenzy and this roller coaster, both financially and mentally, you don't want to go through it alone. The level written up here, continuing on the new advisors in QQQ, and above that is 547. If this earnings season goes well and the market likes, the numbers that the big companies are going to present, The Dow Jones ended Friday with a 0.28% decline. It's the second strong week, rising 6% over 2 weeks. If the trend continues, we could reach 450. Daily, 443 must hold as support, with 438 below. The IWM ended the week green but remains stuck in the yellow zone. Over the last 6 weeks, breakout attempts have failed. 462, 443 must hold, below 438. IWM ended green, stuck at yellow zone boundary. Last 6 weeks attempts to break out, but stuck between 217, 218, and 228, 229. Does this doji signal a trend reversal to 223? I waited for a close above yellow zone, didn't get it, so no long position on IWM. At the upper boundary of the yellow zone is the strongest support resistance area in the time frame you're trading. Notice, in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, there have been attempts to break out, attempts to push through, but overall, for 6 weeks, we've been pretty much stuck in that price area. Between 217, 218, and 228, 229 overall, does this doji signal some kind of trend reversal back to 223? Let's see. In any case, I was waiting for a clear close above the yellow zone, and we didn't get that, so I didn't enter a long position on the IWM. Let's wait. The XLF finished the week at 1.23 after finishing at 6% last week. This week it only finished at 1.23, and notice that the XLF year to date is at 4.67. Now on the weekly level, 49.60 is the support. If it continues to rise, it could reach 51.5. But where can it go after that? Notice, we always look at risk reward. Risk reward, I'll take, thank you very much, swing. If I take positions that can give me a risk reward, what's called a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 3, no one knows, thank you very much. Swing, if I take positions that can give me a risk reward, what's called a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 3, no one knows. No one knows where the price will go, and that's why all this risk is really just dealing with a shell of nothing. The only thing we have is to calculate the risk. The odds could be 2x, could be 1 to 1, could be 10x, no one knows, but... And here's a very, very big but. Take, for example, the XLF. If I take a trend line of rising highs, what does it mean to have a trend line of rising highs? A trend line of rising highs is a line like this. Notice it broke out here. So now I'm going to look for the next trend line of rising highs. And how are we going to do that? We're going to look for a channel. First of all, we're looking for a trend line of rising lows. Look how nice that is. Now let's take, copy paste. Let's do this. Notice we have rising highs. Every time the XLF comes close to leaving, let's not forget we're on a weekly level, meaning each candle represents a week. Every time the XLF approaches the trend line, or very close to it, of this rising highs line, what do we get? Pullback. And so when we're looking to enter a long position, we're looking to enter at the bottom of an upward channel. How far can it go? If we learn anything from history, it can reach the upper limit of the ascending channel, that is, to this white line. It could be in 54, it could be in 56. We don't know. The only thing we need to do, it's about managing the risk. A day and 19 hours remain this week. Bitcoin's weekly candle is up 3.2%. Let's explore what's happening. Daily, it's between an upward and downward trend line, a broadening formation. Since January 17th, Bitcoin hasn't closed above 105,250, 105,106. We have a broadening pattern. Bitcoin is stuck below 105,250, 105,106. Below 102 is support. Breaking it leads to the 97 to 200, 97 to 300 area. We need 2 daily closes. Why? 105, 106, approximately, more or less. When 102 is the support, break below and we go to the 97, 200, 97 to 300 area daily. Close breakout for at least 2 days. Why 2 days? Bitcoin stayed below 105 to 300. Wait for close above 106 or 107. Then reach 114 or 121. above the area of 105, 200, 105, 300. So at this stage, to enter a long position on Bitcoin, I'm going to wait for at least a 2-day close above 106, maybe even above 107. And then the chances of reaching the upper boundary of this broadening formation at 114 and even at 121, 900 is going up. On the daily chart, we're at 100, stuck since mid-December. One breakout failed. In the trend line of descending highs, we're stuck since mid-December, except for one attempt that returned to the trend line. We found support at the descending lows. The 3230 level is crucial support for Ethereum. If it breaks, the FTI provides info. Trend lines and Fibonacci are the ultimate roadmap for future price movement. Support. We found support at the trend line of descending lows, bounced back up, and now we're at the trend line of descending highs, and we're continuing downward. The 3230 level is super important support for Ethereum on the daily level. If it breaks below, the FTI with just one button press gives us everything, everything, everything. And that's why I always say trend lines and Fibonacci are the real ultimate roadmap for future price movement. And it doesn't matter what time frame you're trading. For future price movement. And it doesn't matter what time frame you're trading. Notice the carry in this trading week. If we zoom out, we see a doji here. And a doji shows us that this is the clearest sign of a struggle between buyers and sellers regarding price movement. A doji is the most evident sign that there's some kind of power struggle going on. The buyers obviously want to push higher towards 66 and the 70 area, while the sellers want to pull the price back down. We're currently holding 63 as a support area. Notice that we're rated B on a bearish trend. On the weekly level for the carry, on the daily level, we're rated B on a bullish trend. What we see here is that the carry is stuck between a trend line of rising lows and a trend line of descending highs, meaning it's caught between a downward trend and an upward trend. Continuation of rising. Breakouts. Notice I have my alert set to enter above 64 with at least a 2-day close above 64. What does that give me? That also gives a close above the trend line of descending highs. Above the yellow area, MAG's ETF, which broke out of the descending channel, ranges from 56.15 to 57. If we continue to rise, we're on our way to 58.23. It's rated A bullish, but the Magnificent 7 will start reporting as early as this coming Tuesday. Oil, which had a very strong breakout, has retested and is now going to test this trend line. Previously resistance, now support for higher lows. If price stays on green trend line, path is down. The black gold, which had a very strong breakout here, has retraced all of it and is now going to test this trend line as support. It was previously resistance in a downtrend, and now it's being tested as support for lower highs. As long as the price is stuck to this green trend line, if it continues to stick to it, the path is downward. That's why I always say follow the trend lines. They're not called trend lines for nothing. They show us the way to the future. Follow the trend lines. They are not called trend lines for nothing because they show us the way to the future, where to price. With a probability of over 80%, where is the price going from here? Focus on SMH. The SMH, the doji, shows a power shift. Resistance since July 2024 was broken by SMH, but bears resisted. Focus on the doji. The daily level shows the weekly movement cause. A breakout was followed by a gap closure, closing below 262. We're rated C in a bullish trend on the daily, a hold position. Bulls' celebration was brief. On daily, check weekly moves and doji. 2's wet breakout, Thurs free closed gap, closed below 262. Rated C in bullish trend, don't act. C rating means sideways. Same for SOXX. Followed me, seen videos, joined live sessions. I do them in Thailand for updates. On Tuesday and Wednesday, there was a strong breakout, but Thursday and Friday closed that gap, ending below 262. We're rated C in a bullish trend on the daily, meaning don't act, it's the lowest trend rating. A C rating by FTI indicates sideways movement. The same applies to SOXX. If you followed my videos and live sessions, I advise against entering long when price is near this trend line. Every time 10XX nears this line, it forms a doji and then falls back. And when you see a C rating according to the FTI, you just need to understand that there's nothing happening. It's just sideways movement. The same goes for SOXX. If you've been following me and have seen all the videos and joined the live sessions, yes, I do live sessions even when I'm in Thailand to bring you the latest updates. You know this trend line of higher highs, and that's why I always say not to enter long when we see the price close to the trend line of higher highs, because if we look to the left, we see that every time the 10XX has approached the trend line of higher highs since November, it creates a doji and then falls back, creates a doji and falls back. It fell back here. Doji fell back. And what happened here on Wednesday? Doji on a trend of symbols fell back, 227.63. Now, that's the support, rated C in a bullish trend, which means don't do anything. Apple ended Friday down 0.39. On the weekly level, Apple hasn't done anything special. However, it created a doji. It's been 4 consecutive weeks. In December's weekly summary, we discussed this doji. Now this doji has appeared. Will it signal the end of these declines for Apple? 4 consecutive red weeks for Apple. Could this be the end of the declines? Examine the area around 219 to 220. It's a very important support area. If this area breaks, we're heading towards 209, 194. Don't forget, Apple reports earnings on the day. And we said that this doji signifies, with very little probability, Apple's drop. And now this doji has appeared. Will it signal the end of these declines for Apple? 4 consecutive red weeks for Apple. Is this the end of the declines? Let's take a look at the FTI over the last 13 weeks. Notice this whole area around 219, 220. It's a very important support area. Of course, if this area breaks, we're heading towards 209, 194. Don't forget, Apple reports on Thursday. On Thursday, Apple reports on the 30th of the month after the closing bell. Nvidia finished the week up 3.57. Last week, it retraced over 50%. On Friday, the candle was down 3.12%. On the weekly candle from last week, notice that during the week, Nvidia retraced over 50% of the entire candle's length. How do we see this? Let's explore the daily level. Notice Friday's candle down 3.12%. From high to low, it dropped 4.7% and closed the gap. This is why we say over 85-90% of gaps close eventually. Gaps are closing faster now. Many other gaps closed after a few days. Now there's a gap at 119. 4.7% closed the gap. Most gaps close eventually. Gaps now close faster. Now there's a gap at 119. Over 85 to 90% of all gaps are just a matter of time. And recently, gaps are closing much faster than they used to. Notice that this gap closed. The gap that was here closed. There were many other gaps. And this gap closed after a few days. Where else were there gaps? Now there's this gap at 119. In 109.10. Are we on our way there? We don't know. There's still a lot of time, exactly 1 month, until Nvidia's earnings report. Continued rises above 148, and we're on our way to this upward trend line. Continued declines, and we're heading towards the upward trend line of the rising lows. Note that there's a C rating in the bullish trend, and you already know what that means. Microsoft ended the week with very nice gains of 3.5%. It also received a buy signal on the weekly level with an A rating bullish trend, and will report on Wednesday after the closing bell. We're going to have a super important week ahead, and this extends into the following week as well. We'll soon talk about the stocks that are coming up in the week after that. There's a gap here, a gap at 435. If the rises continue, Microsoft will go check the trend line of the rising highs again. Amazon, which ended Friday with slight declines, Amazon reports, along with Apple. What? Wow. It's just crazy. Amazon is holding up nicely here. Notice the rising lows. Rising lows. Every time it gave this bounce. Now we can take this trend line, copy and paste it, and look for a trend line of rising lows. Who said technical analysis doesn't work? Who said there's no such thing as technical analysis? Everything. Everything is technical. 90%. It's very technical. Amazon continues to rise above last week's high, above 236.4. Notice there's a new trend with Amazon. Yes. Yes. Amazon is also reporting when on Thursday, friends, on Thursday, no one is going to sleep. I might also go live right at the end of trading. We'll analyze everything that's happening, see how the market reacts to all these earnings reports, how the market responds to Fibonacci levels of trend lines. Yes, I'll try to show you this live, because in the Netherlands it will already be 4 in the morning. But to show you live what price movement looks like, both in after hours and after earnings reports, how price reacts to Fibonacci, how price follows Fibonacci, how price follows trend lines, I'll try to go live, even though it will be 4:30 a.m. Usually Apple reports about half an hour after the closing bell. They like to do that. I don't know why, but that's Apple. For you, their honor is in its place. Google, in an upward channel, holds 195.44 as a support area. It has an A rating in a bullish trend, finished Friday strong at 1.73, and will report on Wednesday. It's very close to the trend line of rising highs. If the trend line of rising highs keeps coming down and hits a ceiling, it comes from behind the trend line of rising lows. If I extend this a bit more, and it's very close to the trend line of rising highs now, if the trend line of rising highs keeps coming down and hits some sort of ceiling, it comes from behind the trend line of rising lows. You see, if I extend this a bit more like this, let's make it extend to the left. Upward highs, upward lows. As long as Meta is looking to stay close to this white trend line, the path is definitely up, to the right and up, and that's what we want. But it reports on Wednesday. If, and only if Meta manages to break through and close above this trend line. It's on a very strong path to 724 as the next strong resistance. Tesla finished a red week with a 4.67 drop. Pay attention. I don't know why I have a warning here. I have no idea why I put a warning here. We'll cancel it because I don't know what she wants. This alert, notice that we've been stuck for 4 consecutive weeks between 393 and 429.62. There's a price convergence happening here. Now, there's this tail. Tails, we need to treat them like legs. Tails, 90% of them close. We'll talk about long tails like these, not short tails, long tails like this one, like this one. Notice that this tail took 2 weeks. Meaning 2 candles, and it closed. This tail closed, and I can show you 1,001 examples of tails that close. There's a price convergence here, a breakout. Above, a close over 430, and for Tesla, you can take the Fibonacci upward. We're on our way to 490. 550. FTI shows an upward trend. Just follow it. Daily, we are rated C. No action needed. Prices converge, hinting at a breakout. Focus on a close above 419. On the daily level, we're rated C. Prices converge, indicating a potential breakout. There's a downward and upward channel. I'm watching for a close above 419. Tesla reports on the 29th. It looks like this, and it looks like that. There's a triangle of price convergence. A breakout upward is possible. We can do it like this. There's a downward channel here, and there's an upward channel. Of course, there's another channel up here. But for now, this is what interests us. For now, I will wait for a close above, at least for a day or two, above 419. But Tesla reports on the 29th of the month. Write to me in the comments below. What do you think? How will the market react to Tesla's earnings report? How do you think the market will react to the earnings reports from Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, and Tesla? 5 out of the 7 big companies are reporting in. Already next week, on Wednesday and Thursday, Google is reporting. The week after that, Nvidia is reporting sometime at the end of February. 5 out of the 7 big companies are reporting, and joining them is AMD, which is reporting together with Google on February 4th. Guys, it's going to be crazy, crazy, crazy. Notice AMD trying to break through a downward channel. Yes, it's a downward channel. Why? Because trend lines form channels. Trend lines don't stand alone, they form channels. Notice there's an attempt to break out, establishing above 121.42. From the rating already downgraded to B in a bullish trend, there is the base signal that we received last Friday. On a weekly level, we are with Dodge. So, as they say, I don't do anything when I see a doji, whether it's on the daily level or the weekly level. I'll wait. It's uncomfortable. We've waited so long to get into AMD. I'm waiting for their earnings report, and everything depends on how the market will react to the report. Perhaps the upcoming report will take AMD on a new path technically. Netflix, which reported on Tuesday, gave a jump of almost 10% in wicket. In Wednesday's trading, Thursday and Friday are within Wednesday's candle. If we're not long on Netflix, I'd wait for another close above 9.99, a close below Wednesday's low, below January 22nd's close, and we'll close that gap. Palantir ended with a doji, finishing the week up 10%, totaling 17% over 2 weeks. Friday saw profit taking as Palantir nears all-time highs. That's why we zoom in and out to better see price action. We're above 75. Fine holding Palantir. FTI shows us how to manage risk and place stop loss. Use green stop loss for longs, red for shorts. There's the Fibonacci Academy playlist. Check the last few videos for it. Right now, we're all above 75, and we're perfectly fine holding Palantir. Also, the FTI, notice that beyond everything, it gives us the most important thing: how to manage our risk and where to place our stop loss. Bring the green stop loss for long positions and bring the red stop loss for short positions. And of course, there's the Fibonacci Academy playlist on the channel. I think the last or the one before last is a video. Oh, maybe in the last 3. You should look for it, go in there and check it out. This is a special, unique video about the FTI, how it works, what it provides us, and how we can A, gain access to it, and B, how to set it up optimally for each of us according to the time frame in which we trade. Shopify, which closed Friday up 1.5%, is still in, you could call it a converging triangle, but we're converging downwards. This means that right now, from my perspective, there's really no comfortable entry for a long position, even though the FTI gives us a bullish rating of B on the daily and an A on the weekly. So you can follow the FTI blindly, and notice the FTI already gave us a buy signal on Tuesday. We received a buy signal following FTI profits on Shopify. Macro strategy, uncertain times, downward trend. But January's 21% rise hinted at breaking the channel too. We're still stuck in a downward trend with the week before this, the previous week, the second week of January, giving us some hope after a 21% rise that, hey, MicroStrategy is going to break through this downward channel and close that gap at 5.53. But this week it dropped almost 11%. And on the daily level, we got a sell signal and a rating for a bearish trend. So Tamir, is this the time to buy MicroStrategy? Definitely not. The FTI says no, but if I'm already in a long position, where should I place the stop loss for MicroStrategy? Notice that the stop loss should have already been hit during Friday's trading around 355.70. AVGO broke through this short-term downward trend, but overall it's stuck between 234 and 251.0. The trading day on Friday was approximately around 355.70 on the stock market. AVGO broke through this short-term downward trend, but overall it's stuck between 234 and 251.4 to 250.1. On the weekly level, notice that we are in a price convergence since the second week of December. A total of 6 weeks of price convergence. I'm waiting for a close of at least 2 or 3 days above 251, and then I'll start a long position on AVGO, which is rated A in a bullish trend. Also rated A in a bullish trend on the daily level. Also, on the weekly. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, and share the whole thing because Top Stocks is coming. This Sunday tomorrow, the Top Stocks video will also come out. And who knows, maybe we'll do a live session today, live on Saturday night, here from northern Thailand. Until the next video, until the next live, I wish us all a calm weekend and some good news. Bye.